Good day and welcome to Alena Media TV. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. I am Elsa Abraham, and in today's episode we have African news. Now let's go for your headlines. Somalia holds visa on arrivals for Kenyans. Warring parties in Ethiopian conflict talk very tough. Fighting flares in Tigray as UN team comes under fire. Nearly 50,000 Ethiopians have fled to Sudan to escape war with Tigray. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll get our news in details. Welcome back from that short break. Somalia government has announced new conditions for arriving in Somalia amid deteriorating relations between the two governments. A letter from the Immigration and Naturalization Directorate on Monday evening stated that Kenyan passport holder will enter Somalia until he or she receives a visa from the Somali embassy in Nairobi. Kenyans used to receive visas from Somali airports upon arrival. The immigration noted that the new decision is in line with the federal government's policy, particularly in ensuring security and improving the country's immigration system, after the Somali federal government recently accused its Kenyan counterpart of interfering in electoral matters. In line with the federal government's policy of ensuring security, improving the country's immigration system, and reducing the risk of COVID-19 infection, effective December 13, 2020, Kenyan airport holders seeking to enter the territory of the Federal Republic of Somalia, it needs a visa they can take from the embassy in Kenya, the immigration said in a press statement. The statement also noted that Kenyans holding diplomatic passport will require a permit from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Kenya is one of the key sources of expatriates, with thousands of Kenyans working in Somalia. Somalia expelled Kenya's ambassador in November over what it termed as meddling with its internal affairs. Moving on to our second story for today, warring parties in Ethiopian conflict talk very tough. Addis Ababa bombing, looting, and skirmishes persisted in parts of Ethiopia's Tigray region over the weekend. A rebellious force in the north of the country said after government troops declared they were within 5 days of capturing the group's leaders. A month of fighting between Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's federal army and the Tigray People's Liberation Front is believed to have killed thousands of people and driven some 46,000 refugees into neighboring Sudan. Abiy's government has said the conflict is winding down a week after it seized Tigray's original capital, Mekelle, but the TPLF leader Gabriel Michael told Reuters media in a text message on Saturday there was still fighting outside the city. He said federal forces bombed the town of Abiy Adi on Friday. Without giving further details, with the TPLF spokesperson accused government troops of looting in Mekelle. They are looting civilian properties, hotels, and damaging factories. After looting, the spokesperson Getachew Reda told a TPLF-owned TV station the government did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Most communications in Tigray are down, and access to the area is severely restricted, making it hard to verify either side's statement. Moving on to our third story for today, fighting flares in Tigray as UN team comes under fire. Ethiopia's government denied yesterday that northern forces whom its troops have fought for a month would be able to mount a guerrilla insurgency, while diplomats said a United Nations team was shot at while trying to visit a refugee camp. Federal troops have seized the regional capital, Mekelle, from the former local ruling party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, and declared an end to their month-long offensive. but TPLF leaders say they are fighting back on various fronts around Mekelle. Ethiopia fear a drawn-out insurgency with a destabilization impact around East Africa. The criminal clique pushed a patently false narrative that its fighters and supporters are battle-hardened and well-armed, posing the risk of protracted insurgency in the rugged mountains of Tigray, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said in a statement. It also claimed that it has managed to undertake strategic retreat with all its capability and regional government apparatus intact. The reality is that the criminal clique is thoroughly defeated and in disarray, with insignificant capability to mount a protracted insurgency. With communications largely down and access for humanitarian workers and media restricted, it is difficult to verify claims from every side. A United Nations security team seeking to assess Shemelba refugee camp, one of the 4 for Eritrean refugees in Tigray, was fired at on Sunday, 2 diplomatic sources said. It has also sent nearly 50,000 refugees fleeing to Sudan, saying the TPLF rockets fired into Eritrea stirred ethnic divisions and led to the disarming of the Tigrayans in Ethiopia's peacekeeping contingency, fighting Al-Qaeda-linked militants in Somalia. The United Nations and aid agencies are pressing for safe access to Tigray, which is home for more than 5 million people and where 600,000 people relied on food aid even before the war. The government says with peace restored, its priorities are the welfare of Tigrayans and the return of refugees. But some residents and diplomats of the TPLF say clashes persist, with protests and looting also reported in Mekelle last Friday. The Ethiopian government issued arrest warrants for 10 senior police officers in Addis Ababa yesterday, saying they had committed treason and rights abuses by accepting unspecified missions for the TPLF, according to the state-controlled media. The party accuses him of seeking to centralize power at the expense of Ethiopia's 10th regions and says the Tigrayan officials are unfairly targeted in a crackdown on corruption and rights abuses. Nearly 50,000 Ethiopians have fled to Sudan to escape the war. Almost 50,000 Ethiopians have crossed into neighboring Sudan to escape the war. They are telling stories of brutal violence and facing dire conditions at the camps they are living in. In the middle of the day, the sun here is brutal. Barely anything grows, and thousands of refugees try to find shade underneath makeshift tents. Speaking to a woman called Peralta, she has 7 children, but her 2 oldest stayed behind. She doesn't know their whereabouts. She looked in the camp, but she can't call because the phone lines are dead. She had no choice but to run, she says, because when forces moved into her town, they just started killing. I saw forces killing. I saw some people are killing, being beaten by knife, killed with machetes. Standing right next to her is a 55-year-old Kidan Baher, and all my gold, all my clothes. She's lost everything, she says. Tears stream down her face. She presses her hands into her cheeks in disbelief, and she is grateful that she is safe in Sudan. But what future, she asks, do they have now? The war in Ethiopia is between the country's new government and its old one. They are fighting over power in the country's political system. But here in these camps, this war is about loss. Everyone here, no matter which side they are on, is mourning. Some have lost loved ones. Many have lost homes. And every inch of these refugee camps have become about grasping at some semblance of what they had before the war. This is where we end today's episode of African News. Please like, share, comment. If you have anything happening in your country, kindly share in the comment section below so that we'll talk about it next in our episode. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification button so you'll be notified anytime you make a post. My name is Elsa Abraham. Thanks for watching.